Time for what's trending. That big news out of Seattle. Pete Carroll out as the head coach, will remain in an advisory role. He is at the podium for the first time since this news came down. Let's listen in.
About the organization and representing the 12s, and my intentions of staying with the Hawks, man. And that was true to the bone. And I want to make sure that that's clear as things have shifted so quickly in most people's perspective. It's been an honor and a thrill to be part of this program, and I've loved every minute of it, and you've watched me love it in particular, and it's exciting that there's such a future here, and you can see it, and we know what's happening, and it's bright, and the club's got great places to go, and there's great chances. It don't ever happen automatically. There's a lot of work to be done and all of that, but the future is bright. And following our season-ending meetings with ownership in the planning sessions, it's clear that, and for a variety of reasons, we have mutually agreed to set a new course and for the club to take on new leadership. And that's just a decision that's been made, and there's a lot that went into that and a lot that went behind that. And for all my guys, I think you know how much I probably competed for our perspective and our standpoint and all of that. I freaking didn't back off for an instant, and that's a decision that's been made, and what's going to happen now is the process will start to get new leadership here, and that'll be on Johnny's docket. He's going to get after that and make that happen with help of ownership and all that, and we'll be supporting them as much as possibly can happen so that they can do a great job with it. I'm so grateful to the coaches that have been with us for so many years. Also, all of the coaches that have been here for the years before that put up with my stuff and found way, to bring it to life daily. And I have great gratitude for that. So many years. Really, it was really, and I go to it's not just the dedication and the loyalty, it's the freaking juice. It's bringing it. And I asked a lot of them, and they were good at it, and I appreciate that a lot. I'm so sorry. I'm so heartfully sorry for the families. Y'all don't realize how deep this runs. It's just going next coach, next staff, what's going to happen, what's the future and all that. There's people in this thing, and it breaks my heart that so many people get shocked and adjusted and surprised and all of that, and the children, and we have so many kids in this organization that we love so much and we celebrate whenever we get our chance. It breaks my heart that we're dealing with that, but that is what happens, and that's part of this business and part of a lot of businesses. It's not unique just to us. Get shocked and adjusted and surprised and all of that. To the players that have been part of this thing, you don't probably know this, how deeply I feel about the NFL is about the players. And we've not recognized that to my satisfaction. I brought it up at the league meetings a few years ago and probably surprised some people about it. But this league is about the players. And without those guys doing what they do, there's nothing. It isn't about the ownership. It's not about the coaching. It's not about the color of the uniforms or going to the stadium. It's about those guys doing what they do and putting their body on the line so regularly. And it's not just a statement. It's real. We should always, in my opinion, understand that we should celebrate those guys because they are the NFL. They are this game that we love and the game we get to coach. Who would I be coaching, I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I really do appreciate it. And to see some of our guys here today, it means the world. It means the world. I want to remind us, I guess, one time about the work. Yeah, tons of work. Dedication, all that hard stuff that we do with coaches and players to get to what we can get to, but it's really always been about the fun. And Wags, you've always been the guy that always reminds us that if you ain't doing it right, you're not having any fun at all. And I appreciate you keeping me connected to that. It's pretty inherent to me too. We're birds of a feather in that regard. But I also, Bobby, is I appreciate you and T-Lock and Gino that have kept me connected to our former players. That's a really important part of this relationship of being a coach, and particularly in this program where we've been there for so long and so many souls have come through. Having you guys with me all the way through this time, And I always feel like I'm a little bit connected to those guys, and I don't ever want to lose that connection because I'm so indebted to all of the time we spent and the things that we did. I'm so proud of really seeing the young men grow up and take off in their lives and doing their things and owning businesses and families and kids and the whole thing. It's a great joy for a coach. But I appreciate you keeping me connected to that. I got to thank Jody and unfortunately Paul not, but the family was really classy at all times, and they supported what we were doing. I felt the support faithfully throughout, and grateful for that. It's a nice relationship here with the ownership, and it's as good as you can get from my perspective. Maybe harder on personnel guys sometimes, Johnny, but always so good. And to Johnny Snyder, way back in the day when I first got the job here, they wanted to know if I wanted to be the general manager. And I said no, but I'd like to hire him. And Paul said okay, and we got John on board. And from the first moment that we really, now we're going to do this, we stepped off to the side, and I gave John a big hug and I said, we're getting married, dude, and I'm going to help you be the greatest general manager in the history of the league, if I could. And you took 14 years to get to it, and I'm so proud. I'm so excited for you to have this opportunity. It's going to be cool, and it's always been a great marriage, and it's just unforgettable, and I'm just so grateful for that. And going forward, I'll be your biggest fan now, dude. I'll be there. I'll be right there for you. I've been blessed with like the rarest of best friends and mentor, loving partner, the angel in my life. This is worth crying for. Glenda, nobody would ever understand how significant she's been through all of the stuff that we've been through, and how important she is as she's just been the angel in my life, and I owe you everything. My boys, Brendan and Nate, you guys would have no idea how valuable they've been to me, because they were the ones that would give me all the crap about what I was doing wrong or what I was screwing up. They were harsh, and their critiques were rash, and the whole thing, it was perfect because I needed that loyalty, and they were the epitome of it for me, and I'm forever grateful. They know, but I don't mind saying it to you. Because it's hard to be that deeply loyal. It's hard to tell people what they don't want to hear and what they need to hear. And it's rare to have people around you that are willing to do that, particularly when you get in this kind of position. And it's so necessary to do well and do right. So fellas, I love the hell out of that. Jamie and the crew, my daughter and all our husbands and wives, and our 7+ kids. We got one on the way coming in April, making Glenn and I the proudest grandma and grandpa you can be. Really grateful to those kiddies that put up with grandpa's crazy stuff, because you can imagine I'm a pretty whacked out grandpa. And I just want to say this, that one of the things I'm most proud of in getting here is way back in the day when I called Tater and said, hey, we got a chance to go to Seattle, man, and how about we take a shot and get up there, and maybe 2-3 years they'll give us a chance, and then they'll kick us out of here, and we'll see what happens, But I'd like to take the culture that we had at SC and see what happens. And he said, hey, of course, Tater was always on board. Heck yeah, let's go. And 14 years later, man, we're both still shocked by that, but we're grateful for it as well. But what I am most proud of is that we took a culture that we developed there in those college days and came here to see if you cared for people deeply and you loved them for who they were and tried to find the extraordinary uniqueness that made them and celebrate that, and not try to make them something that they're not, and not try to expect them to be something other than that, but try to see if we can capture that extraordinary uniqueness that they had, and celebrate that with them. Let's see what happens. Well, at SC, we killed it. And we came up here, and overall, we've been successful for a long time. I didn't think any way that this would happen like this. I didn't have that vision. But I'm grateful for it, because what we have here, we have an extraordinary culture. And I'm really proud of that. The guys that are here know. Guys that come here and leave know. Guys that haven't been here before and they show up here, they're shocked. And really, that happens because you guys continue to celebrate it and keep it going, and I'm able to keep calling on you guys to illustrate what it's all about. And this is a very special place because of all of that, and I'm grateful for that. The one last part of that I wanted to say is that what it's always been behind the culture is trying to help people find their best, and one person at a time. And it works. It's real. And you can feel it. And I'm really grateful for that. So we learned something here. It was a total experiment. It was a dictator. We had no idea. But you guys are examples of how that worked out. So I love you and appreciate that. So that's it for now, and I'm freaking jacked. I'm fired up. I'm not tired. I'm not worn down. You guys tried your best. You didn't wear me out. It's the end of the season. I'm supposed to be, go lay on a cot somewhere. I ain't feeling like that. And there's what's coming. I don't know. I got no idea, and I really don't care right now. But I do. I'm excited about it because there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to study. There's some great discoveries that are going to come our way. And as my all-time mentor, Bud Grant, said, not in so many words, there's rivers to wade, there's waves to catch, and there's mountains to hike. And it wasn't exactly how Bud said it, but I get it. And that's some cool stuff that we're going to do here. And I look forward to all that. So with that, go. What do you got?
The statement indicated that you're still going to be around the organization. You still got some work to do here. What does that entail?
We're going to figure that out. We don't really know right now. But I'm grateful for the intention that that the organization has, to try to find something that makes sense. So we'll see. I don't know.
What went into the decision to step back, or I guess agree to step back and not be the coach anymore? Why did you agree to do that?
Well, I competed pretty hard to be the coach. Just so you know, because I just wanted to make sure that I stood up for all of our coaches and the players and the things that we had accomplished, and not so that we could be the coach still, but so that we could continue to have a chance to be successful and keep the organization going. That's what I was fighting for. So I in that regard, that was what I was representing in our discussions, and we got to a good part, a good clean spot where it made sense, and I went along with their intentions.
Do you feel like the team could take the next step forward and continue?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt in my mind. Yeah, and we all know that.
You sounded pretty confident Sunday and Monday that you would continue in your coaching role. Can you walk us through what the last couple of days have been like?
Just that we had our year-ending meetings with ownership and planning sessions with Johnny, and just talking through stuff, getting ready, and it takes us to the point where you get to what's next. And this isn't about me being the head coach. It's about this organization being successful and being on course for the long haul of it as well. And I realize that. I mean, I'm about as old as you can get in this business, and there's coming a time they got to make some decisions. And so moving towards the future, if there's some way that I can add something to them down the road, we'll see what happens. But this is a good move for them, and Johnny's going to take this thing, take the bull by the horns and roll. And I'm so thankful that I get to see him take that next step and watch what he does with it. He's going to kick butt.
Coach, can you be more specific about that decision? I mean, what was
No.
there a disagreement?
No, I can't. I'm not going to.
What are you going to miss most about coaching?
The chance of being in one of those parades. Yeah, the thrill of a lifetime was being in that parade, and for our fans and the people and all that. And that's. I don't know, who's to say? I don't know what's going to happen next. I'm not sure about that. But that pursuit to the greatness of the moment that you celebrate with everybody, there ain't nothing like it. So it's worth fighting for.
If the right opportunity to become a head coach.
All right, we were just listening in to Pete Carroll addressing the media for the first time since that news came out that he will no longer be the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. He's going to transition into an advisor role. What a ride that press conference was. Starts off super emotional, and then we end up with him saying he was a whacked out grandpa, or that he is a whacked out grandpa.
A little bit of everything in that press conference.
Yes. What I want to get to right away, though, Lige, is he talked a lot about still competing to be the head coach for this team. That was a big takeaway for me. What did that say to you?
It says a lot, Jacqueline, because when you look at it, to me, it states that this wasn't a clear mutual parting of the ways with Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks. You heard him vividly say, I was competing to be the head coach of this football team. It also makes me think, right, that maybe they went to Pete Carroll and like, we need you to make some changes on the staff. And he probably went in there and fought for his guys and decided he wasn't going to do that. We've seen instances like that as well where head coaches are reluctant to go ahead and fire some of their close friends on the roster. So to me, there's a lot of question marks to Pete Carroll. If a person was to be like, if this was a case where a person was like, I'm not trying to throw the Seattle Seahawks under the bus, that was Pete Carroll right there in that press conference, because you could tell even the follow-up questions, he was like, well, I'm not going to go into detail of that. I'm not going to go into detail of that. So this clearly wasn't a mutual parting of the ways. Pete Carroll, we talked about this before, Jacqueline, a lot of energy, even though he's 72. The great thing about him is he's always been able to bring a nice culture to the Seattle Seahawks. He allows players to be themselves, and you can tell that kind of galvanizes that team. So was a bit interesting and surprised when this move happened with the Seattle Seahawks. But now, after listening to the press conference, we can see why it maybe happened, and they were looking to make some changes in Seattle.
Yeah, he said, you know, I still feel energetic. I'm excited about this role moving forward. What else stuck out to you about what he said?
That he doesn't know what his role is going to be, Jacqueline. Yeah. I mean, that's telling to me, again, like, you're parting ways and you're going to have a role with the team, but they don't have a finite answer for what you're going to do. So if I was Pete Carroll, I would feel a type of way. And you could tell at certain points in that press conference, he did feel a type of way, because they asked him, you know, what will your role be? What capacity will you have on this team? He was like, we're still trying to figure that out. So not only am I not the head coach now you got to make up a role for me with the Seattle Seahawks. So there was a lot in that press conference. We talked about it, Jacqueline. Like, it had a little bit of everything, from being a whacked out grandpa to competing to be the head coach to essentially being relieved of his duties. So it's a roller coaster effect in Seattle right now, and now they'll start their coaching carousel, and it looks like he won't even be a part of that, because he kind of vividly came out and said, you know, John Schneider is going to have that, you know, that duty to go ahead and get things rolling, but I'm excited to be around the guys still and be in this building, even though he doesn't know what his role is going to be.
So, you know, he talked a lot about culture, loyalty, bringing that same mindset from USC over to Seattle, where you care about people and you bring out the best in people. So it sounds like, you know, he really tried to establish that in Seattle, even though he doesn't know what his role is going to be. Do you think he stays there for the rest of his career, or is there a scenario where, even though we don't know what that advisor role is going to look like, does he go elsewhere to be a head coach? Do you see that happening?
I don't see him being a head coach anywhere else. I mean, Tom Coughlin did this a few years ago with your Jacksonville Jaguars, when he went into the front office and kind of was an advisor role. I could see Pete Carroll doing this, and then after he maybe does it for 2, 3 years, 4 years, maybe he just enjoys being a grandpa. I just don't see at this stage in his career him going somewhere else and being a head coach. Now, again, you would never know that he's 72. He's so energetic on the sideline, always chewing that bubble gum extra hard on the sideline. But I think Pete Carroll deserves to finish this thing out in Seattle now. Again, a little bit surprised, just because the year before they traded Russell Wilson, they go to the playoffs. This last year, they were just one game away from going to the playoffs. And let's not forget, Geno Smith missed a few games because of injury. So they were right in the thick of things with Pete Carroll as the head coach. So ultimately, like he said in the press conference, you know, Father Time is undefeated. Eventually changes are going to be made. Just a little surprised about this one.
What do you think is best case scenario for Pete Carroll? What, you know, if you could mock up what the role would look like that would be best for him and his involvement, what would that be?
It's probably going to be something where he can stay around the team. He's a football guy. Like, I don't see him being an upstairs, you know, have a role in scouting or anything like that. Now, he'll probably give some of the wisdom that he's learned from being a coach forever, you know, on the sideline. He'll have a role in regards to that. But to me, he's got to be around the players. That's just who Pete Carroll is. He's like one of those kids at a candy store. You see him doing practices all the time, pitch and catch with the offense, defensive lines. He's the scout quarterbacks a lot of times in their walkthroughs. So to me, it would be criminal not to have that energy on the sideline, or not even on the sideline, but just have him around the players. It'll be some type of advisory role where he'll be able to be around the players.
Yeah, we saw in a lot of video today, he's at the practice high-fiving players, running around. You mentioned it, chewing his bubble gum.
Chewing that gum.
Yeah, has a lot of energy. I want to talk about what's next, looking forward. Of course, Dan Quinn, his name comes up because you know, JJ brought it up earlier, someone who has ties to Seattle, to that organization. Do you think Dan Quinn, potentially Geno Smith combo is a winning combination for someone to compete, or a team, I should say, to compete with the Niners and the Rams and just in the NFC in general?
I think it makes a lot of sense just because Dan Quinn knows the culture that's been built up in Seattle. Me and Brady Quinn were talking about this earlier. If you look at the Seattle Seahawks, they kind of remind you of a West Coast New England team for all the success they've had throughout the years. And Dan Quinn was a part of that team when they went to the Super Bowl in back-to-back years. And then he was the coach for the Atlanta Falcons and took them to the Super Bowl. So just makes too much sense because of the culture that's been built up. And you need a defensive-minded coach to come in there. Even though Pete Carroll is a defensive-minded coach, the defense has really struggled the last few years, Jacqueline. And you were not accustomed to seeing that when you talk about Seattle Seahawks, right? You know them for their grittiness and also their good defensive play. So Dan Quinn makes too much sense to me. Also, Mike Vrabel makes a lot of sense. A guy that won a lot when he was a player at New England, won a lot when he was with the Tennessee Titans, except for the last 2 years. I think he could be a guy that could come in there and also change the culture of that defense. But Dan Quinn, to me, is probably going to be the number one on their list as far as bringing a guy in that already knows the culture, knows how things are ran in Seattle, and will already probably work really well with John Snyder, the GM.
Certainly Cowboys fans are not going to be too happy about that, but hey, that's the nature of the business. Douzable joining us here on CBS Sports HQ as we are talking about Pete Carroll addressing the media for the first time since it was announced that he will no longer be the head coach and is moving to an advisor role there in Seattle. That is the latest opening. You see all the openings there. There are 7 of them. Pete Carroll out as the head coach, but again, will remain with the franchise as an advisor.